Okay, in the previous tutorial I showed you how to make an LED light that would blink on and off, so on for 1 second and off for 1 second. It's a small little project to get to know how the Arduino works, how to wire it up and how to program it. In this tutorial I'll be doing the same thing, so I'll have an LED that turns on and off, but it will be controlled by this little light sensor here. So this light sensor can take different values, different light readings, and then it can send it to the Arduino, and basically it will be programmed so that if there's not much light, if the room is dark, then it will turn the LED light on, and if it's bright again, then it will turn the LED off. So it's like a little night light project, or like an outdoor garden sensor light. Okay, so if you had a look at the blinking LED tutorial, previous tutorial, then you'll know how to wire up the LED, and it's exactly the same as in that tutorial. So if you haven't already watched that, I encourage you to watch that first, as it also explains how to wire everything up and how to program in the Arduino IDE. But if you haven't, basically I've got, for the LED here, I've got a little red LED. I have this red wire plugged into digital pin 13. I then have the blue wire plugged into ground, which goes into negative pin 1 on this solderless breadboard. And then down on the same line, on the blue negative line, I have a 470 ohm resistor, which then goes into here, just in front of the short pin on the LED. So I've got short pin on the left and long pin on the right, and then in front of that long pin in front of the LED, that is the one that goes to digital pin 13 on the Arduino. So that's how you set up the LED. Now that was a bit rushed, so if that doesn't make sense, then I suggest watching the previous tutorial on how to make a blinking LED, as it goes into that a little bit more in depth. Then I have this light sensor which has 3 pins. So it's got one on the left for ground, one in the middle which is for data, so it sends the light readings to the Arduino, and then the one on the right is for power, 5 volt power. Okay, so 3 pins. Plug that in onto the breadboard, and then in front of those 3 pins I've got a yellow one. So a yellow jumper wire which goes down to the same line that the resistor is on, and this blue wire which is ground. So I've got ground running all along that first row there. Okay, so that's where the yellow wire goes. Then the next one in the middle is green, so that's for data, and that is going to A0, which is analog in. So analog 0 on the Arduino. And lastly, the black pin, that one is going to 5 volts, which is next to the ground pin on the Arduino. So that's how to set it up. And if you want to see the schematic for that, I will also post that in the notes for the video. Okay, so let's have a look at the code.
Okay, so here's the sketch for our little sensor light program, and basically it starts off with making some variables. So there's light level, there's LED, which once again, as in the previous tutorial, is on pin 13. Then we have our setup code here, so we're setting the pin mode for the LED to output, and we've also got serial.begin, and then in brackets, parameters 38,400, and that is the baud rate. So it's set to 38,400 bauds. I'll explain that in a sec. Down here we have our loop, which runs all of the code necessary to turn the light on and off. We have the light level equal to analog read, and that's got A0. So remember that the light sensor, that middle pin, was going to A0 on the Arduino. Then we have here serial print line light level DEC. And what that will do is when we go into the serial monitor, which we'll have a look at in a sec, that will send the light readings and number value, and it will print that on each line in the console. we'll have a look at that more in depth in a sec. Then we have an if statement here. If the light level is less than 50, so we'll get these readings about the light level from the light sensor, and they can range between, I think, 0 and 1023, I think. So 0 being low, 1023 being the maximum value. Inside the room, average light, it might be around about 150, 200. And then if it's dark, it should be below 50. But you might need to tweak that a little bit depending on the lighting conditions where you're going to be setting it up. We have digital right, LED high, so that turns the LED light on. Then we have an else statement here, digital right, LED low, that will turn the light off. So basically, if the light level is below 50, so if it's dark, it will turn the LED light on, else it will turn the LED off. And then there's a delay of 1000. So it's only checking the light level every second. And you might want to change that as well. You might want to make that a little bit longer, because if there's a point where the light level is kind of hanging on like 49, 50, 51, you don't want the LED constantly blinking if it's going up over or under that value that you've set. So you might want to have it checked less frequently. Now, let's, I've already saved and I've already verified this code, so I'm going to plug in my Arduino, and then I will upload this code to the Arduino. Okay, so it's done uploading. So the code has been uploaded to the Arduino. If we have a look at the Arduino, the LED is currently not turned on. Okay, so I've got enough brightness in this room that the LED does not need to be turned on. But if I put my hand over the light sensor, the LED comes on. If I take it away, it goes off. So basically, as my hand is covering the sensor, it's getting darker, it's getting a lower light reading, and it's turning the LED light on. Now, remember, you can change the light value in that if statement. You can make it a little bit higher, or you can make it a bit lower, depending on what the lighting conditions are where you're going to be setting that up. Okay, now if we go back to the code, you might have noticed these lines where it says serial.begin and then 38,400 in brackets, and then down here, serial print ln or print line, light level DEC. Now, basically, I mentioned about 38,400 being the baud rate, and basically the baud rate is it's the number of signal pulses sent per second. So this is coming from the light sensor, and then down here it's going to print on each line the actual light level value as a number. So if we go to Tools and then Serial Monitor, down the bottom here, you see you're getting funny little characters there, but down the bottom here you can change the baud rate, and we need to set it to 38,400, same as is in our code. And now you notice you start to get these numbers coming on each line, and that's the actual light value. So currently it's reasonably bright in the room. The value is about 125, but if I put my hand over the actual light sensor, it's gone down. If I put my finger all the way over it, it goes down really low, so it's not getting much light in at all. If I take it away, it should start going back up again. Okay, so that's the serial monitor in the Arduino IDE, and that it's one way of getting information about from different sensors. So what the actual light level is. If you're using a temperature and humidity sensor, then you can get the temperature and humidity feedback there as well. And it's a great way to check that it's actually working properly. Okay, so that is how to make a automatic LED night light using a light sensor, an LED, a breadboard, and an Arduino Uno. Thanks for watching.